I could noticeably feel a shift, primarily from the lapdog so-called journalists. They're really PR agents who work for the UFC. But you could tell with the way they were framing questions, the way they were asking questions, the way they were publishing things and pushing things. How good is a fighter? How productive is a fighter? Is this fighter able to compete with these people on this level? That was the dialect. That was the way that things were talked about before. Around 2010, that was when the questioning started happening about entertainment value and excitingness and finishing. If it's not exciting, you have to hit the exciting fights. You need the exciting fights to push forward. It wasn't good. It wasn't we need the best fighters to fight for the title. It wasn't the best fighters need these ranks and moved up. And then, yeah, that was a big thing. All Pro Le Mans said definitely with Chael Sonnen and Brock Lesnar bringing in the casuals 2010. And Chael was really the first guy to do the whole pro wrestling shtick. He didn't even start it for him at 117. It happened after that. He was the one who went in and started doing the pro wrestling promo cuts. And it all shifted from how good are you? Can you compete with these guys? Are you able to win a fight against this person? To excitement, exciting. Can you sell the fight? That's all that mattered at that point. And it's only gotten worse. It started with the press doing their PR work for the UFC, working for them, not being real journalists, pushing a message that the UFC wanted them to push. And then other fighters copied Chael's lead and they start talking their way into fights rather than performing their way into fights, winning. You beat somebody up by winning the fight, you move on to the next level. I think that's when things really started going downhill. And I stopped watching fights altogether. I was fighting, but I was not watching them. Unless I was cornering one of my teammates or one of my teammates was fighting, I didn't watch fights. Unless they flew me out and had me go to a show, I didn't watch fights. I didn't want to. I have a lot of friends who we started watching fights early, and around that time period when I stopped watching because I didn't like the product they were pushing out there, all my friends and all those people who were watching also left. They didn't want to watch it either. They didn't want to hear that stuff. They wanted to watch good matchups. They wanted a sport. They didn't want pro wrestling. And that's really where I think things started getting worse and worse because the product they were pushing out started turning away fans who actually liked watching the sport of MMA and started cultivating the seething, impotent, never left the house, never did anything real, never trained, never worked out type of fan base